Hello, everyone. Welcome to this PBEX Lives. Today is going to be the third and last live of PBEX before the event in Paris, 9, 10, 11 of December. We're going to have the eighth edition of PBEX, the international experience in personal branding. And today in this live, we're going to talk about the hidden threats to personal branding success and masking self-sabotage. And in this live, we're going to help you not to sabotage your life, your career, or business by not destroying your personal brand. So join us, invite someone, send you the little plane to everyone in your audience to come and join with us. I have a special guest here that I'm going to introduce you. But if you think that you have saboteurs of your life that doesn't allow you to go to another level, this is the life for you. This is the moment for you. So join us, invite people, and help them as well going to the another level. So I have a special guest here directly from Romania. It's my friend Amalia Sterescu. She's directly from Romania right now. So Amalia, very welcome here to PBEX Lives. We're gonna start. I want to that you start introduce yourself. Who is Amalia? What she does nowadays? Talk talk to us a little bit more about your resume. That I know that is a huge and a wonderful and an impactful story that you have in corporations, working with big companies in Europe, through the globe. But introduce yourself for the audience know you a little bit more.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Ricky. Thank you very much for your invitation. I'm Amalia Sterescu, and in my professional life, I play different roles. I'm a certified personal branding strategist and founder of Branding You. We support leaders and entrepreneurs to enhance their personal brand and to communicate what makes them authentic in the market they are working with. In also, I am a strong supporter of authentic leadership, and as a leadership facilitator, I create and facilitate leadership program for B2B from various industries. I'm the founder of a public speaking school, actually the first public speaking school in my country, in Romania. And because public speaking and personal branding work hand in hand, I have coached and trained over 5,000 professionals in the past 10 years, even children, because public speaking anxiety can be defeated from early stages. Also, I'm an advocate for women empowerment, and I'm a board member for Female Empowerment Summit US and Romania. I'm an author. I publish Dancing Tango with Life and also over 600 articles about personal branding, leadership, or public speaking. At home, I'm called a very good logistic manager because I'm a mother of three teenage boys, and this keeps me very, very busy. And yes, I'm from Romania, and for those who are joining from Latin America, for example, Romania is in Eastern Europe. It's a beautiful country full of opportunities and talented people.
Thank you very much, Amalia, and all our audience. You see that we are in face of someone with a large experience in corporate world, in training, in personal branding, and develop people and everywhere in their fields. So feel free to join us to put your questions as well for us to answer you. And Amalia, we are talking about personal branding before entering in live, and people many times they think that is that, and you talk about experience. You have talked about 10 years, 15 years, professional experience, family experience, and every role of our life demands time, demands having been constantly and expecting the correct time of things to happen. And nowadays we see a lot of people trying to work their personal brand and they give up very shortly time. They give up very soon. They start to make something online, and after 3 months, they say, "Oh, that doesn't work for me. I have tried to do this. I don't get promoted," and they quit very, very often. That is my perception, at least. In your perception, in your experience, what you think that is the characteristics that makes a personal brand doesn't succeed?
Mhm. Thank you. This is a good question. 10 years, when I started 10 years ago as a personal branding strategist, after a few years, I have realized that, I had professionals very keen, very motivated to invest in their personal brand. They allocated time, they allocated money, they allocated resources, and they had a very good consultancy process. Even though the outcomes were different. Some of them succeeded, they managed to invest in their brand and to enhance their brand and communicate what makes them different. Others, they fail, and they give up in the first year since they took the decision to invest. And I asked myself, what is going on? I did my research. I asked my customers. I checked some studies. There are only some studies made in Australia, for example, and they are saying that actually there are more people who are giving up in the first year since they decided to invest in their personal brand. And of course, there are some external reasons, like okay, my company doesn't agree, there are some cultural differences related to my organizational culture, self-promotion is not acceptable, or there are people who are operating with some personal branding myths. They believe that if you are present online in social media, that's it, that's personal branding, and it's more than that. But digging in more, I realized that actually the inner threats, the self-saboteurs, are the ones who are making people to stop investing in their personal brand. And I put more thought and research on this, and I realized that it was a KPMG study done, and they said that 75% of women in leadership roles, they are suffering from impostor syndrome, and they are not projecting the right personal brand. They are afraid, there is a voice in their head who are saying you are not enough, you are not good, what you don't have what to show, and so on. Also, there are people, actually some studies are saying that the American Psychological Association, they are saying that 20% of people procrastinate. They delay the moment when they will decide to invest in their personal brand, and they will do actually they will do something, sometimes they plan, but they don't act. And they are losing opportunities. They lose the opportunity to show themselves, to do storytelling, to share their best practices, to position themselves as experts in their industries. Also, there are more than 50% of professionals who are afraid of doing public speaking. And we all know that this is an important channel to communicate your success stories, your failure stories, to communicate what makes you authentic, especially now when video communication touching more and more people. So I said, okay, what is going on here? And what I did, it was to do my self-assessment on self-saboteurs, because as a good consultant, you should start with yourself, right? And I have discovered using Shemine positive psychology test that I was a hyperachiever, I was a procrastinator, and I started to work first with myself to discover how can I improve this and how this prevents me to project my personal brand, to enhance my personal brand. I think we have a duty as personal branding strategists, as people who are helping other leaders or professionals to project the right personal brand. We have a responsibility to support our customers and to make them aware that personal branding starts with an inner journey. That personal branding means also to deal with your inner threats. That personal branding means also to assess your self-saboteurs and to be aware of them and to be aware when they are at play. So actually, this will be my main theme, at personal branding experience in Paris, because I think it's very important. Because we do want people to succeed, to show themselves, in a very competitive environment and to build stronger and authentic personal brands. And this means also to deal with your self-saboteurs.
Yeah, great. Yeah, yeah. Because nowadays people think that working their personal brand, it's only the outside. They have a great logo, they have a website, or they have a good social media, or they have a good design to social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, and so on. And that's it. And of course, during the consultancy, one important thing is the clarity of who they are and what they must do. Okay. But you have talking here that, okay, they can have the clarity, but if they don't work inside the inner game of themselves, what is the saboteurs of themselves? They could have a good image outside, but they don't gonna run the long run. They're gonna fail
Exactly.
before. They're gonna fail before. You have talked here about two saboteurs: the imposter and the procrastination. There is another saboteurs that you have found that is more strong in people and doesn't allow them to have a strong personal brand and to achieve the another level in their lives, careers, and business.
Yes, of course. So let's define a little bit what a self-saboteur means for those who are not familiar with the concept. So let's imagine that you want to move from point A to point B in your career or in your business, right? And you are very keen to do that. But in this journey, your mind starts to, develop some behaviors or thoughts which are not productive, which actually are becoming barriers against your goals. So I remember I was in India in a retreat and I had a teacher there, and he said, for every action you decide to do, every project or initiative, your mind will develop also the inaction, lack of action, right? So we all know that our mind can be our best supporter, but also our mind can become our worst enemy.
Mhm.
So the question is, how can we influence our mind, our thoughts, our behaviors, to work for us, not against us? That's the main question. So, to respond to your question, yes, of course, there are some saboteurs. There are many classifications done. I know at least 10. But when I look at my customers, for example, in personal branding consultancy, I can underline three of them, which are most common. So the first one is the inner critic.
Mhm.
So these are people with a strong inner critic voice. That voice will say you are not good enough. Why you should go on that stage? You don't have important things to share. Oh, you are asked to write an article. Oh, but you are nothing. You don't have any experience on that. You don't have any valuable information to share. So when that inner critic voice is at play, what will happen is that we lose opportunities. We This will bring stagnation to our career because we will lose the opportunity to shine, to be a voice in our industry, to become an expert in your field. And
Yeah.
it's such a shame. Another saboteur is the perfectionist,
Uh,
right? So
let me interrupt you because it's a really wonderful point that you bring to us. The first one that is the inner critical, and
yeah,
everything that we want to change, we need to identify. We need to identify and to know that we operate like that. And everyone has thoughts and emotions running through himself. Uh, And for example, that inner critic that you talk, you are not good enough. Who are you to talk about this and so on? And many times is linked with some words that people bring to that person's life. For example, during childhood, a father or a mother or a teacher, for example, says, "Oh, you're not good enough. You'll never be a great person in life. You're never gonna make anything successful in your life." And when we are adult, that inner critic, that voice is really inside, really inside of us. And the consultant of personal branding gives the strategy, but if the consultant doesn't help people identify and knowledge that inner critical that you were talking about, maybe the successful of the strategy doesn't gonna happen.
Yeah, it's a good point. I would like to make a difference between this self-saboteur and what in neuro-linguistic programming is called a negative anchor. And
Yeah.
what you are saying, things that others say to us, and they program our
Mhm.
brain to believe that we are not good enough, that we cannot succeed. For example, my father used to say that I cannot finish everything, you know. And at one point, I realized that I started to behave like this, right? So we need to be aware of them because these self-saboteurs have developed in our early years, before 7 years. When a child has 7 years, he already have this, but these were developed, you know, to protect us from emotional distress or physical distress. So, but now as adults, we don't need them anymore. And we need to recognize them. We need to see when they are at play. We need to name them, you know, and we need to work with them.
Yeah, great. We have to manage them, but to manage them, we have to identify them. It's really perfect what you have said. So that is the first one,
Yeah,
and the other two.
yeah. So we've talked about the inner critic. Now, when I ask my customers, even so, in my training class or when I'm doing public speaking, if I ask them to raise their hand if they believe about themselves, if they are perfectionists, I can assure you that 50% in that room they will raise their hand. And what the perfectionist will do to yourself, well, you will project higher standards, expectations from what you have to deliver. And you are so focused on, you know, preparing actually that you will fail to act on enhancing your personal brand. You are preparing to be perfect, but you know, you may lose the moment. You may lose opportunities, right? So you are struggling to complete a task because it's never perfect. You will avoid to go there. I have a customer. She was an amazing expert, you know, in what she was doing. And she was asked to deliver many presentations, to have interventions in front of hundreds of people. And she was never satisfied with her speech. She was never satisfied with the content that she wanted to deliver. And she stopped. She avoided, and she lost many opportunities. In fact, she lost the opportunity to give back, you know, to her community.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, that is the you see people that are listening to us. Amelia, at the same time, she gives the saboteur, and at the same time, she says the impacts of this saboteur in your life, on your career, or in your business. So the key word is to identify and to know how to manage that saboteur. That is the first two ones, and the third one, Amelia.
Well, that's my friend.
We're gonna have seven that we left to PBEX in Paris, but the third one that you
Okay, so I will talk about my friend, and my friend is the procrastinator. Yeah, so when you are operating with a procrastinator, you are always delaying tasks, delaying responsibilities. And what is going on is that you miss opportunities, you develop anxiety because obviously by delaying you will accumulate workload or, and you may feel overwhelmed, you may feel stressed, you may lose momentum, and it's not good for your personal brand and it's not good for your life. And you said very well, Enrique, that self-saboteurs are impacting not only our career growth, career opportunities, our personal brand development opportunities, impact also our personal life. So the fact that you are not projecting self-confidence may affect also your personal relationships. So you may end up by being frustrated, by being dissatisfied with your career. Burnout also may be a consequence, especially when you procrastinate. There is a complex of reasons that I will talk about this in Paris at Person Branding Experience, because I want to offer people a different perspective. So we were taught that we need to fight with our self-saboteurs. And at one point, I did an inner MPA program organized by New York University, and sounds true. And one of my professors was Lisa Lehi, and she's the co-author of Immunity to Change book. And she brought a different perspective on how to handle self-saboteurs, because she said, we don't have to fight with them. We have to befriend them.
Yeah.
And that's my main topic in Paris at Person Branding Experience, because what I want to emphasize is personal branding is an inner journey. Personal branding needs introspection. Personal branding needs also to befriend our self-saboteurs and to learn how to operate with them. Because in the end, every time you will realize that you operate from a vulnerability point of view, not from your strength, you have to ask yourself, okay, what is protecting my mind? What my mind protects, right? So what do I defend there? And going layer after layer, actually, you will have some very nice insights. And what I will do is to offer a perspective for non-therapists. I'm not a therapist, right? I'm a person branding strategist. And this doesn't mean that there are not instruments that can be used by professionals, by leaders, which will participate in person branding experience in Paris, that will help them, to identify their saboteurs, to name them, to operate with them in a more constructive manner. And this will be really, really helpful, not only for their brand development, but also for their personal life.
Yeah, great, great. So you are talking about the inner critic, procrastination, and now
Perfection.
the perfection, and now the procrastination. So it's three, and you have at least 10, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that you at Paris at PBEX you're gonna talk about more the seven
I
ones.
will, yeah, I will talk about the avoider. I will talk about the victim. Yeah, I will talk about the people pleaser. I will talk about the comparer, right? So the whole package is there.
Yeah. And in your speech, you're gonna talk about how to identify them and give tips and practical tips how to manage them as well. That's it.
Yeah, so I will not speak, I will not cover theoretical aspects. I will cover mainly stories
Mhm.
from my practice. And also, I will give some specific tips and advice on how to handle this to have a different outcome. At least my wish is to convince people that when you think to give up to your personal brand investment, think twice,
Yeah.
because we are working in a more and more competitive world, and personal branding is not just nice to have, it's mandatory. And it
Yeah.
will be such a pity to not project the right personal brand, to not differentiate yourself, and to not project the authentic you.
Yeah. Okay, and we go to Europe. Is the first time that the PBEX go to Europe,
Yes.
and we know that sometimes the mentality in Europe is different, and people think that personal branding is something related to self promotion, self selling, image, and that's nothing about that. It's more deep than that because we need to understand, and the person needs to understand herself after to manage their emotions, their communication, their verbal and non-verbal communications, their service, the value that they add to the companies or to the market, and they need to that all that makes her personal brand, and to manage that is really important. That's why people that we are talking here about self saboteurs, because without knowing the self saboteurs, it's more difficult to manage our attitudes, our actions, our emotions, our communication, and all that makes the perception of our personal brand. I used to have many clients that say, "But I'm very good. I'm a really good professional." Yeah, maybe I don't doubt about that. I know that you're a really good professional, but how you are communicating yourself, what is the actions, the reactions that you are leaving in the tables that you sit in the company and online. Well, let me think. And personal branding is about thinking about yourself more, is to give that deep uh, inside through your in yourself, to manage more yourself. And that's why we bring saboteurs, because saboteurs, I imagine, are really good. Speaking of Amalia, we're going to talk about identity as well in PBEX, and the two themes are really connected: identity, saboteurs, because all that going to help you to manage yourself better, to communicate yourself better, to have a very better and strong personal brand, to be very best perceived from others, clients, customers, bosses, the market, every family, everyone gonna perceive you align who you really are. That is another question that you have talked. It was really, really good, Amali, because don't fight with saboteurs. Be friend of them. I remember people in the past they want to don't have such kind of thoughts, and it's impossible to where the thoughts come. We are we are walking in thoughts come, bad thoughts, good thoughts, and the ability is to be friend of them and to manage them. To manage is the same thing for saboteurs. And many times people in personal branding, they don't make the management of their personal brand, and they lose a lot of opportunities because they are communicating in the wrong perspective. They are communicating with the wrong actions, but people don't see what the real you. They see what you communicate, and that's why the speaking of Amalia and PBEX is going to be very important, because she's going to teach you how to identify and to manage all that inside system that you have, to have a really better communications, to have access to another level.
Enrique, when I asked my audience, if they have a special meeting in their calendar, and that should be a one-to-one meeting with themselves, and they are laughing because that meeting is not there.
Mhm.
And every time I'm talking about personal branding, I'm talking about the need to go for introspection, the need to have some mindfulness practices, because when you will have time to identify your saboteurs, when you operate with them, if you don't put some thinking on this, some focus on this? Many people will say, "Oh, I'm so busy, I don't have time to do this," right? But it's so mandatory because, in fact, will not affect only your future opportunities, will affect your life, will affect your career growth, will not put you in a growth mindset, you know. So one of my key points in at PBEX in Paris will be the need for introspection, the need to apply some mindfulness practices to hear the voice of your saboteurs, which are the messages that they are transmitted to you, right? So what do you hear? How do you act? Which are the triggers? When do you act like this? And
Yeah.
then how you will design an entire support system to support your goal, to befriend your saboteurs and to change your behavior, right? This will not happen immediately, but at least you'll start from somewhere, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm gonna make the twisted question. That it means we are talking about the, um, the bad things that result from people don't manage their saboteurs. But for example, if you have some examples that you can bring to us, the benefits of a person to manage, for example, the procrastination. That is a saboteur that people mentions a lot, or perfection, or inner critical. Some
Okay.
benefits that you can bring to us. A person that achieve to manage this kind of saboteur, what is the
Mhm.
results that they have in their career, life, business?
Mhm. I'll give my example, and I will use the hyperachiever saboteur, which is one of my top saboteurs. At one point, I realized that I was saying yes to many events, to many activities to be able to enhance my personal brand and so on. And being a hyperachiever means that you say yes, but at one point, your body will say, "Oh, stop, because I cannot handle anymore." Right?
Mm,
So, and it took me a few years to realize the way I was operating and the fact that I was harming myself. Because when you are a hyperachiever, you can deliver many things, many projects, many activities related to your personal brand in a short time. But on the other hand, you may suffer, your well-being may suffer. So once I realized that I have this saboteur, I was really proud about my performance. But then I realized that in fact, I'm hurting some parts of myself. So when I realized this, I started to be more focused on self-care practices. And this
mm,
is one of the topics I will cover also in Paris, the personal branding experience, because okay, if you allow time for introspection, if we will allow time to deal with our self-saboteurs, then okay, we need to be in the right state. We need to have a certain state to do that. And this requires self-care.
mm.
So I will share some tips from my inner MBA program on how to make sure that you will make time, you will be a balanced person, and you will be able to handle this properly.
Yeah, great, 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 great. I'm looking forward to see you speaking about that in PBEX, the eighth edition, 9 and 10, 11 at Paris, because hyperachiever here, for example, in Brazil, there is events all days, all weeks. It's incredible. It's an insanity of events, little ones, big ones, medium ones. It's really, really crazy. And we see a lot of people with that saboteur, the hyperachiever. I must be there. I must
Yeah.
perform there. I must take a photo there. I must listen to that speaker, and so on and so on and so on and so on. And people confuse um, movement with progress,
Good
because
point.
people think that I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna show that I'm the guy. I'm gonna show that I'm in movement. I have a really good networking. I take photo with this one, or I have access to new knowledge. But in fact, they have a lot of movement, but they don't have progress in their career, in their business, even in their life. And that is really connected to what we say, the hyperachiever. I must achieve everything.
Yeah.
So I think our audience is gonna have a really, really good content with you, and many minds gonna explode with your lecture, and gonna help a lot of people to not make a lot of movements, but to have a lot of progress through in using their personal brand.
Yeah, so I wanted to say something about personal branding experience in Paris because, for many years, so I remember 10 years ago, Enrique, I knocked at the door of some media and PR agency here in Romania, and I said, I need to develop my personal brand. And they look at me and they said, well, but branding is just for services and products. And I knew that it's more than that, and this is how I found William Arruda, which was a person branding pioneer at that point. And I just want to mention that William Arruda will be on the stage at the person branding experience in Paris. And we were pioneers. And in Europe, in comparison with Latin America or US, there are just a few events on personal branding. I would say zero summits on personal branding. And this is a great opportunity for all professionals who would like to hear more from the top world experts in personal branding. It's a great opportunity that we have this event in Europe, that we will have speakers from all continents, that we will share best practices, and we will support professionals to tell their stories with courage. We will let's say, advocate for personal brand development in a world where we should be more and more competitive. And as I said before, personal branding is not just nice to have, it's mandatory. So what personal branding experience will do for our European market, I hope will create a learning platform where you can meet professionals who are delivering high professional services in personal branding. Also, what I hope is that after this event, we will be part of a community. A community, so that doesn't matter where personal branding experience will be next year. We will stay in this community. We will share best practices, and we will support more and more professionals, in our field. So that's my expectation. And if you have the chance to be at the beginning in December in Paris, it will be a great opportunity to attend person branding experience. I will be there, and hopefully you will attend the event, and you can find out more about self-saboteurs.
That's the goal. That's the goal, to make a big reunion of everyone, to share insights, share knowledge, share new tools, refresh the knowledge, have a sense of community. Since we have started in 2016, that is the goal. That's a reunion professionals from worldwide. In this edition, we're gonna have speakers from more than 10 countries. We know that we have audience public there than more countries that they're going to be there. So it's a platform of connecting humans, connecting people, connecting knowledge, and to share the best global tools of personal branding for people, not only the professionals like we, but also to every public that wants to work and start to develop their personal brand. They're going to have the chance to do that at PBEX during the first day with top lectures, but also in the second day with two workshops where they're gonna put in action. They're gonna leave with a action plan to their personal brand to put in action in the 2025. So it's not an event; it's an experience, and people they're gonna feel inspired. They're gonna feel directed. They're going to put themselves in action during these 2 days at PBEX. And in the third day, we're going to have Emily city tour in Paris experience. So for the audience that they are listening to us, maybe you know the Emily in Paris, the series from Netflix. We're going to make a city tour through the places of the series, but It's not only a touristic trip. It's important, of course, but we're gonna take aspects of their personal brand of the Emily, and because she comes from another culture, from American to work in France, another codes, another objectives, another way of living, another communication, networking, everything, and how she developed their personal brand to achieve their goals in another culture. So we're gonna go through the places, but bringing the insights, bringing the tips, bringing the tools of their personal brand for you adapt to yourself, adapt to your personal brand, and to live to your country, live to your career, live to your life, live to your business, and to have a more insightful experience in the third day. That is a bonus that we give for you. The third day Emily City tour in Paris. And another bonus for you that are listening here is a special promo code, 10% for you to join us in every pass of PBEX. We have only three passes: the Eiffel, the Montmartre, the Eiffel, and the Versailles pass, and you have a discount of 10% using that code 10 PBEX 2024 in the website pbexexperience.com. Only for you that are listening here in this third live of PBEX. So it's going to be an amazing. I'm really thrilled to meet you at Paris in PBEX, to meet everyone there, and to have a really wonderful experience for you to your personal brand. Amalia, thank you a lot for your time, for your wisdom, for your knowledge. Final words for your community in Romania, or for your friends in Europe, what you can say to them for them not to lose this opportunity to be in the PBEX, because it's really near, guys. It's really near in Europe, from Madrid, from Lisbon, from Bucharest, from London. So it's very near to be with us in Paris.
Guys, I would say don't miss this opportunity to be in Paris at the beginning of December 9, 10, and 11. Person branding experience. It's a unique summit. We won't have this sooner in Europe, so take this opportunity. You have the chance to meet high-profile professionals who are very well-known consultants or strategists in personal branding, and you will find out trends, practical information, and you will enjoy Paris. So who doesn't want to enjoy Paris, you know? So I look forward to see you all there. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Amalia. Thank you very much for you to listen to us during this time. The live is going to be recorded. So if you want to listen again, see it again, send to your audience, send to your friends, come with your friends to PBEX. Going to be a unique and incredible experience for you, to your personal brand. And I'm sure to you that your career, life, and business at least gonna be different after PBEX Paris 2024. So see you
And
next. See you there. Bye.
bye bye.